Hello there, guys. Welcome back to the show. This is the Thrive Entrepreneur podcast where we host different entrepreneurs and their business success stories. And today, I am very honored on our popular show, on our popular segment that is the Freelance Entrepreneurs. Today, I am honored to interview Franklin Munene, who is a studio operator, and he's going to tell us more about that later on. So, welcome back to the show. My name is Salomon Jeroge. Enjoy. I'm going to go with the name Munene because I feel like it is more relatable in our country. All right, so tell me about yourself. What do I have to know about you to be able to understand who Franklin Munene is as a business entrepreneur and also as a freelancer?
I think maybe it boils down to my values, or maybe the values I try to portray through the products I make or the services I offer. To know me is to know what I represent, and I basically think that's what the kind of maybe products I make or arts I do, or maybe the ventures that I get into in terms of business, or maybe in personal relationships and stuff. To know me, it's also to know the kind of things that I think that represent me, and part of that is maybe the products that we make here at Nkama. Even my position with the company that I work with, it's part of who I am as a person. So I'll say like to know me is to know also the world that I'm imagining from the products I make, the people I interact with when I'm making this product, etc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you are the founder of Nakama Studios. Mm-hmm. So Nakama Studio is a studio operating. What do you basically do? What is like your day-to-day? Anything that you do?
Anything that we do. So basically, Nakama it's in the entertainment field. It's a music label. We venture in both in making products and offering services. So a typical Nakama day depends in what. First, it depends on what department that you're in. Songwriting, you'll meet people doing recording, maybe getting ideas out there and such kind of things. And then it goes on to different stages. So I would say a typical day for kind of person like I working with the industry, with the company and everything. I'll say it depends. It will start with me having to figure out what the objectives with the companies are supposed to be, because that's what I'm supposed to be doing as one of the direction of the company. Then that later on boils down to being involved in production, going into the studio. I think it boils down to the kind of ambition someone has, because like, I wouldn't say like people who work from 9 to 5 are less ambitious, but one of the things that I've learned as a person being in the industry is like it all boils down to what kind of risk you're willing to take. And for the most part is if you have to set up a business, it's almost like a risky thing from the word go, because chances are some of the business never get off the ground. Yeah. You kind of need to have specific tactics that you're going to use to solve the kind of problems that you're going to face in the road towards maybe what the kind of goals you have set as a company or maybe as a business. So I would say when it comes to that, I would say like for me it was more like being able to also find a space where I can utilize my skills in different ways, because I kind of realized like the thing that comes with 9 to 5 is as much as the kind of knowledge you've acquired through the school system is going to be used somewhere, and you're going to be like disciplined to be able to achieve 1, 2, 3. It comes a time when you kind of feel like you want to create something even more, something that will leave maybe a legacy, something that some people will say maybe leave inspiration to the generations to come and such. Mm-hmm. And I think in such kind of thoughts is where maybe that's what brought to the idea of maybe building an Nakama and maybe building a kind of a label where we can be able to take someone's idea of what they think maybe this is what I value, or this is what I've gone through this experience, and this is the kind of values I've got, and this is the story I want to tell, and this is the way I want to tell the story. And we take that and turn that into something that someone else could relate to and make a business out of that. Mm-hmm. It sounded really interesting to me. Maybe I'll say that also. And paired with the kind of ambition I've said, like, and being willing to be a risk taker. I think it's a combination of different elements that kind of like led me to this road of maybe wanting to do freelancing and stuff. And sometimes, to be honest, if the risk is well calculated and stuff, like the rewards are kind of like really good. And I think that's something else you testify to even. I don't know, do you work from 9 to 5 or you also venture into things?
Yeah, well, let's just say I work both 9 to 5 jobs and also as a freelancer.
Okay.
Yeah, and I believe I've had aspects of both of them.
Okay.
And just being my audience and thinking like what my audience would want me to ask you is the fact that they are working a 9 to 5 job, they are tired, of course they don't have time to maybe live their own dream or practice on their own dream. What would you advise that one person who's looking into starting maybe a studio business?
So for the people who want to venture into music, I'd really encourage them, because it's really a good thing, because we as a label then end up like that will work in our benefit, because in a scenario like that we'll have maybe different people who have demos, because one of the things that is hardest even to get in our communities, people are local artists being able to provide themselves with like maybe something as simple as a demo which can showcase your talent and stuff. And those are kind of the things that we are doing in Nakama, helping people come up with such kind of things, making them easy for them to be noticeable by the industry and such. For those ones, maybe we see we don't have maybe a set of business that we can be able to support them. But for the ones that we can be able, we do venture into them, and we really encourage as much as possible.
Okay, so you've mentioned earlier on the aspect of helping people and just helping them to be able to have a place where they can record, for example, their demos, and of course record some of other things that they require of their talent. Of course, this is a business. You're an entrepreneur. You need to make money at the end of the day. So how do you ensure that you keep yourself or hold yourself accountable at the end of the day to be able to realize that, you know, at the end of the month there's rent I'm supposed to pay. At the end of the month there's something I'm supposed to maybe reward myself and pay myself. So how do you as an entrepreneur make sure that you still gain value of your money, the money that you are able to maybe start up this business?
Okay. I'd say that's a good question. Given especially the kind of environment that we live in, I would say that there are kind of variety of neighborhoods that you will maybe set up a business or such kind of things. Maybe I'll start with small factors like those ones. For us, it starts with being able, like the fact that we grew up in this neighborhood and we've been able to see kind of different people, like what they are able to do and such and everything. And we kind of also happen to live in the same neighborhood, so we kind of like been able to see how it has been hard for some of the artists to access maybe the studios and everything. So I would say, like, first of all, it's not a one-man job. So as much as I'll be here representing maybe the people that I work with, or the team, or the company that I represent, I would say like it takes more than one person to be able to do this. So for us, I would say really like we have people within the group, like first of all, people are able to hold each other accountable. Let's say with the team that we have built around Nakama, we have people like working in different departments and stuff. And even in when it comes to like factors when this is what we're going to give priority over this one, there are people, it won't be a one kind of person decision. That means that we can, both the label and the artist. And I'll say maybe at best those are the kind of two scenarios that we get in for the most part. We really don't focus on owning like a full brand for the artist, unless when it comes to the artist now we have already signed within the label itself. Because I as an artist am one of those people within the group who, because my music and everything I do as an artist is being managed by Nakama. So I'll say maybe from that kind of point of which we have a few of the artists who are within the label. So I'll say maybe from that point where I know most of my projects and everything that we do, they're going to be funded by the studio directly. Yeah.
So let me ask Monene, how do you know it is the right time to shift towards freelancing? Because I'm thinking this, in order to start a freelance, it's something that you already had as a side hustle, obviously. So it was giving you money, but how do you know what, it's time I shift to the freelance culture. It's time that I start making my own money through my little side hustle, that it is making money at the end of the month. It is making more money at least, or something that I can be able to hold on to, aside from the money that I get monthly maybe, or at the end of the year.
I'll say there's never really the right time, because like I said, for the most part it's all about taking a risk, and sometimes the risk might go as not the way you expected it to go. So I'll say for the most part you can never be too sure when it comes to such kind of matters. So I'll say maybe it depends with the kind of maybe the kind of plans you have as a person, the kind of people you've involved in the process of maybe they are coming up with the idea and me seeing how the idea is going to be executed and stuff. Maybe doing research. I'll say in such kind of an era that we live in, I'll say that maybe the internet has helped maybe startups to have an easy time on knowing maybe what the market requires and stuff like that. So it's easy to go online and maybe have places where you can get a few samples of how things are supposed to be done and stuff in scenarios like YouTube, which is one of the good platforms that have been able to be able to create an awareness of how things are done, maybe behind the magic and curtains and stuff like that.
So I'm thinking about setting up a studio, and obviously I've met quite a lot of studios. Anyone that goes to school and studies maybe photography wants to set up a studio. Anyone that goes and studies maybe anything to do with film comes out here, sets up a studio. So there are a lot of studios here. You would find across, like maybe if I walk 5 kilometers, I find a studio, you know. So what is that one thing?
The kind of thing that you want to build is a community where we are playing at a position where we are able to influence the whole neighborhood from a position where we want maybe to have a certain market that we want to maybe have most influence over. And when you look for the most of the studios that are out there, for the most part, you'll find like people have only studios to be able to record and maybe make songs, but for the most part, most of them approach it more of a music thing, less of a business thing. And when it also comes to the kind of music that we're making here, we try to push as much as of the bar to as high quality as we can be able to produce. And I'll say that's something that you can be able to do, but being able to sustain that over a period of time, it takes more than just having you as a chef and maybe having a small setup like that. The top 2 factors. So I'll say like, what makes us different is the kind of products, the kind of quality that we can be able to match the products and if maybe the market demands us for us to have even more, that we can be able to match up in that level. And also having an environment where, because I tend to think the most important thing for any company is the kind of the people that you involve in making the products and stuff. And I'll say for us as Nakama, that's where our strength lies, really. The kind of people that we're able to bring together and be able to work maybe towards a certain goal and stuff. Because there's a lot of magic that happens there, which is something I see happens a lot when someone who has been producing in their own maybe isolation come to the studio and maybe find a bunch of other 5 people who can be able maybe to understand music from his perspective. It's kind of almost like a magical thing, the way you see them interact and be able to be in that space.
So I'm thinking about setting up a studio, and I hear a lot of people say, because I've listened to a lot of interviews, and a lot of people focus while setting up a studio, and I say my studio is the studio gear. Whatever you have, that is what draws the clients over to you. So talk to us about the studio gears, the speakers, how much they cost, different types of gears that you're supposed to have. Is it all about quality or just finding something that can be able to?
I'd say, like I said, it depends like what kind of setup you want. So I'll say maybe what kind of setup, maybe if, let's say in this case, you are the person who wanted to set up a studio. So I'll say maybe what would you want to set up? Maybe a bedroom studio, a home studio? What are you thinking? Let's see.
Okay, so maybe I'd say like maybe a home studio.
Like
because,
maybe a home studio.
Yeah.
For home studio, I would say maybe at best the first thing you need is a laptop, and that's the first thing. When it comes to the studio monitors, I would advise maybe someone to get a set, but if possible, you can get maybe a good set of headphones, because you won't be needing to do much of the heavy load work stuff maybe in a home studio. For the most part, maybe be looking at recording. But if you can be able to get your hands on maybe a set of maybe a set of monitors, let's maybe suggest maybe the Yamaha, because that's what I'm familiar with. Maybe a smaller version, maybe it's small enough maybe for the recording purpose only. When it comes to a mic, anything from around maybe 20 to towards the IT40, you pretty have maybe a good setup, maybe like something like the Focusrite bundle. Not that I'm advertising the guys, but for the most part, that's kind of the bundle that I see people start with, because it's easy. You have what you can connect, maybe a one instrument there, maybe a microphone, and you have everything comes together as a package. And if you have that, and the last thing you need, maybe it's a software for you to be able to record, of which you have different kind of software there, from Pro Tools all the way to Logic, all the way to FL Studio. It depends on what you'll be able to use more efficiently. So I'll say, yeah, and that's pretty much what you'll need for a setup. And maybe treating the room if you are able to. Maybe get a few places patched in. But if your studio is maybe located in your bedroom, pretty much you'll have almost everything. And there are pretty easy ways you can make DIYs of using the closet and maybe as a recording booth. I've seen people do a couple of things like that. So there are maybe flexible ways you can approach it, depending, like I've said, the kind of demo you want to make and the kind of people you're targeting with that kind of demo. So I'll say maybe start with that, and you'll be surprised the kind of recording you get from such kind of an environment. But the best one, maybe it's getting the room treated, and if you have that, you have a good setup and you're good to go.
So I'm pretty sure, let me just put myself once again in the shoes of the audience listening. I know a lot of people, whatever, even though they're dealing with whatever makes their hearts happy, it's passion, it's something that you have in you and you want to really work with it. So is owning a studio or being a studio operator, is it something that you can say, you know what, it's bringing me money, you know what, at the end of the day I can take my kids to school, at the end of the day I can pay my bills? Is it something that you can live off of?
I would say maybe if I was to do something different, given what I know right now, of course there are a few things that I would want to change, maybe the way I will approach the whole marketing and everything. I'd say maybe understanding you can never understand enough of the business to be able to make is maybe what people fantasize as the perfect decisions in the business. Maybe I'll have maybe giving myself credit to understand that it takes time, it develops its stage. Maybe you being able to make the right choices, and even sometimes being able to make the wrong mistakes that will be able to push you in a corner where you'll be able to question things from a different angle. Because I'd say the way I've learned, the things I've learned in the business, I've been able to like maybe approach it from a person who has no information about maybe what I was getting myself into in the field, and through the experience and the choices I've made, maybe the bad ones and the good ones, and being able to see like people like I look up to, like maybe the likes of Steve Jobs and stuff, because he had to be like fired from his own company for him to find a way back into the same company. And when he came back, I believe that he came back a stronger and a better person with a better vision than he had done in the first place. So I'll say when it comes to maybe my philosophy, I'll say maybe some of the values that I have to look like towards, maybe some of the things I share with the people I work with around. I'll say like, as much as people would want to say there are mistakes in business, maybe that's why you kind of like get to learn the most when it comes to business. As long as you don't do mistake all the way, maybe no one will have a problem with you. But if you can figure out a way to come back from the mistakes and be able to come back with a better lesson and maybe even make a profit out of it, I'll say like, that's a good thing. Yeah.
I love your philosophy about taking risks and also coming back from the mistakes that you have made, of course, around you as a person. And looking towards the future, what is the future of Nakama Studios?
I'll answer that by saying no man is an island. So the future of Nakama is the future of where the Nakama is situated as a company. Maybe that would say it's also the future of the neighborhood, the people around us, the people who work in the company. So I'll say when I talk about the future of Nakama, I'm talking about maybe more than just a future for Nakama as an entity, maybe even for the people that are going to involve, even I as a person. And I'll say for us, it's being able to create an environment where people can do the much they can be able to do with their creativity. That's one of the things that we're going to approach with everything that we're doing in the industry. Also, being able to showcase our people at different levels of skills. because I tend to believe, like, when I look at Africa for the most part, like, one thing I realize is, like, some of our best products as a continent, it's actually things that are manufactured outside the continent. And that's one of the things that we would love to be able to change, because we tend to understand, for us, is learning how to be able to work with technology, because one of the things that about the future that we're talking about is the fact that technology will be one of the things that is a fundamental of any element of a society that wants to make progress and such.
All right, so one of you guys asked me on the comment section, Sally, you always host this entrepreneurs, and it's such a good show, obviously, and you never tell us where we can find them. So I am going to let Munene over here tell us where we can find him across social media platforms, so you guys can reach out to him whenever you want. So Franklin, this is your stage now.
I'd say to reach to us, maybe for the company, you'll find us at all our social medias. We use at Nakama Studios KE. That is in Instagram, in YouTube, and also on Twitter, and also on Facebook. Those are most of the platforms that we are in. That's on digital platforms, and on physical location, you can locate us on Kitengela, because that's where the company started and everything. So we are located at Kitengela. So we have all our ways to communicate to us through email and numbers. So anytime an artist pops in Kitengela, you can reach us to maybe get more information on the packages that we offer as a company, and also find out more of what we offer as services and the products. Yeah.
And I think we can all agree that the fact that this was such an educational episode today we had with Franklin Munene. Thank you so much for making time to be here today.
And thank you you guys for having me. It's been a good set, and I really like the question. And yeah, keep on doing this. Yeah.
Wow, you're welcome. I hope I can see you next time, maybe in the future.
Yeah, sure.
See something big.
I wouldn't mind.
All right. So if you're out there, if you're thinking of starting a freelance business, just quitting the 9 to 5, you know who the guy to talk to is. If you want to start a studio, if you want to know the ins and outs, much into it. So you know where to find Munene. He has given you your social media handles. My name is Salome Njoroge. Thank you so much for tuning in into another segment of our Freelance Entrepreneurs, where we talk to different entrepreneurs. So if you're out there, you want to be featured in this show, so kindly contact us at our social media handles is at Thrive Entrepreneur Podcast. See you then.